Suspense. Autolite and its 96,000 dealers present tonight two stars, Mr. Charles Lawton and Miss June Havoc, in Blind Date, a suspense play produced and edited by William Spears.
Say, Hap, have you heard the one about the car that lost its head in a clutch, got its block knocked off, and hasn't had a brake since?
Slow down, Harlow. That story won't hold water.
Well, maybe not, but here's one that will. The story of the Autolite Stay Full battery. The battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. Autolite Stay Full batteries, with their greater liquid reserve, help to eliminate one of the major causes of battery failure.
Still more, Harlow?
I'll say, Hap. Autolite Stay Full batteries have extra protection with fiberglass retaining mats for longer life. Why, in tests conducted according to SAE life cycle standards, Autolite Stay Full batteries give 70% longer average life than batteries without the Stay Full features. So, folks, get an Autolite Stay Full battery. And remember, you're always right with Autolite. Oh, and a reminder, Suspense on television may be seen in many parts of the country every Tuesday night.
And now, with Blind Date, and with the performances of Charles Lawton and June Havoc, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
The DeMarcos and Mamie had said goodbye. That left me alone backstage. I'm always late anyway. 8 acts on the bill, and I'm always the last to leave the theater. Say, just what do you mean coming into a lady's dressing room without knocking?
Hi, cutie.
I never heard of a call boy who didn't know how to say, are you decent?
Oh, relax. Take it easy. We can't all be double-jointed.
All right, what do you want?
He's outside.
Who is outside?
Some John you won't like says he's got a date with you. Oh, baby, you're closing tonight. Tomorrow you'll be in Detroit. Then you'll wish you'd done the loop with me once. Come on, let you and me do our own circuit tonight.
I have a date, thank you.
Oh.
Now, will you go out and tell him to come in, if you please?
You can do better than him.
Yeah?
Yeah, me.
Oh,
you got real talent, honey. You need somebody to watch out for you. In the profession, I mean. Now, what's a cute little trick like you taking fourth billing to a lot of hoofers?
Look, you stick to your call.
Yeah? Oh, Gloria, baby, this is your last night.
I told you before, I don't like to be touched. By you or anybody else.
I'm beginning to think you mean it.
Get out of here.
Okay. Your stage door Johnny ain't going to be no improvement. Believe me.
The idea, the very idea. Doggone it, where did I put that?
I believe I'm on time. The clock on the Wrigley Tower has just struck 11. I'm Vincent Hawthorne.
Oh, yes,
He walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies.
Huh? Come again?
I'm not what you expected, of course.
Well, won't you come in, Mr.
Hawthorne.
Here, let me take your hat, Mr. Hawthorne. I'll only be a minute. I'm leaving Chicago. I close tonight, you know. Detroit tomorrow. I was delayed at packing and all. I'm not quite dressed. That's props, anyway.
A theatrical trunk. It is a big thrill to me. Gloria Le Fay. Theater. Rush. Gloria Le Fay. Trends in Bend.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, this is my first experience in meeting an artist.
Well, really?
Gloria. It's a lovely name, Gloria. It fits you. You're a very lovely girl. She had a woman's mouth with all its pearls complete. And for her eyes, what could such eyes do there but weep and weep that they were born so fair?
Huh? Well, it's something of your own.
I only wish it were. That's a narrative poem of Keats about a woman who turned into a serpent.
Well, gee, that's a cheerful little earful, I must say. And what do you got there?
That's a flower, a rose for you. Here.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, I like roses.
I thought it'd look nice in your hair, Gloria.
Oh, yeah, well, thanks. Thanks a lot. That's real nice.
For your hair, yes.
Thanks.
And this. Now, this is something for both of us.
Is that whiskey?
No, hardly. It's wine. It's Chablis. It's a fine bouquet. Should lend a note of cheer to our little dressing room, And 2 glasses. See, I thought of everything. Fine wine should always be sipped from crystal, don't you think?
I planned on going out. And then...
Oh, yes, certainly, but I thought...
I'll only be a minute. I'll finish dressing behind the screen. Say, Mr. Hawthorne.
Oh, yes?
What's your first name?
Vincent, my dear.
Oh, say Vincent.
Oh, thank you.
Vincent, just so we get everything clear on both sides, well, it's a funny situation, you see, because I don't quite know.
Are you concerned because we are having what is called a blind date?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you read my mind. I just wanted it to be understood on both sides that I am not in the habit.
Of course not.
But lately, I've been thinking that after all, how is an artiste like myself, who spent practically all her life training for a profession and then finally goes out on the road since vaudeville's coming back now, you know, how's she ever going to meet people?
Yes.
You get the point?
Certainly. Of course, I understand that completely. We'll just have our little midnight supper.
I was coming to that. When I was a little girl, say, by the way, did you ever catch an act called Diane?
Diane? I'm not positive.
Well, you'd hardly have forgotten her if you had. Diane was my mother.
Oh, indeed. She was
And that slip-attic dancer, yeah. It's almost entirely her act that I'm doing.
Really?
Well, when we were playing Chicago once, when I was a little girl, we went to a little restaurant off the Gold Coast which enjoyed largely theatrical clientele. It's called Gregory's. I thought we'd go there. Are you game, Mr. Hawthorne?
It sounds delightful. You say that your mother is dead?
Yes. Diane died 3 months ago.
I'm terribly, terribly sorry, my dear.
Well, thanks. I'm so sorry. They say the
You were
food
very
at
close to your
Gregory's-
mother, weren't you? She was an artiste, too. And she taught you how to accomplish all of those remarkable feats that you've been performing on the stage.
Diane taught me everything I know.
It's really remarkable what you do at the end of your act. When you stand on that chair and bend all the way back so slowly and then take the goblet of wine with your teeth and drink it.
Well, thank you. I've worked hard. Of course, either you are double-jointed or you're not.
Of course. What did you die of?
You might say that when vaudeville began to die, Mother began to die,
Yes,
too.
yes.
Wasn't the money, but with radio, and you see, you have to see a dancer, and radio...
In view of those circumstances, you could almost say that your mother was murdered.
Say, where do you live?
I was born in London.
London. We were thinking about playing Australia once.
London is a great many miles from Australia, Gloria.
I'd sure like to get over to London. They say Australia is
London
great.
is a very lonely place.
Palladium, I'll bet that's the
It's
biggest...
full of lonely people.
Oh, say, let's not...
The world is full of lonely people, Gloria. In your short lifetime, has that fact come to your attention?
Well, really, that kind of talk can ruin an evening. You're going to talk like that. I don't know about us. Well, here we... Hey, what are you doing? Put away that knife.
I'm just opening our bottle, Gloria.
Oh, I told you I don't want to drink here. I want to go to Gregory's. Come on, let's put the show on the
Well,
road.
here's one for the road. A little glass of wine will do us both good.
No, I don't like the looks of that knife. Nobody needs a knife that big to open a bottle with.
This is a trick knife, see? You press a little button and the knife's gone, just like that. It disappears into the handle.
Well, I don't like it. People get hurt with knives.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong about that. People get... a knife's a very handy instrument.
Oh.
A good knife is hard to find. A good knife is a friend, Gloria. The only friend you can depend on sometimes. They say steel is cold, but it's really warm. It's warm as the human body.
Well, just for your information, I don't like your knife, and while we're at it, I don't think I like you either.
I'm very sorry, Gloria. I'm sorry that my knife frightened you.
I don't know. I think maybe you'd better go. And
Please, Gloria, don't be angry with me. I'm most anxious to take you to Gregory's, where you once went with your mother many, many years ago.
I don't know. I think...
We'd have something that you didn't have at that time, champagne.
Huh? Well,
In a quiet corner by candlelight, there'll be music.
What does a girl do when she draws a gentleman like you, huh?
Why, she has a little glass of wine to celebrate. Good. Here we go.
You haven't said anything about my dress.
One for you.
Thanks.
One for me.
All right. Here's to a pleasant evening, Vincent.
No, Gloria. Here's to us.
Oh, okay, then. Here's to us.
Ah, that's a little better.
That's nice. Vincent, I'd like to ask you a personal question.
Certainly.
What does somebody like you do for a living?
Oh, I was a part of Rembrandt and Silvers.
Yeah? Sounds like a soft shoe.
No, they're wine merchants.
Oh. What?
Gloria, when you bend back like you do and you drink out of that glass, is that wine you drink?
Oh, of course not. That's only colored water.
Oh. Did you know that the cork in the bottle is sometimes more expensive than the wine itself?
Oh, you don't say.
Yes, it's imported from Spain, you know. Imported, that's what costs money, you see.
What?
Another thing I have wondered about. Is it true that it's bad luck to whistle in a dressing room?
No, that's silly. That's a chorus girl's superstition. Artists, they don't worry about that.
Oh, I see. I'm most grateful that you answered my note this afternoon.
Vincent, why did you send the note to me with those 6 beautiful Cardoza sisters on the same bill?
I thought them very ordinary girls. They were the least beautiful. That's not beautiful like you.
No? Oh, no.
What made you answer my note?
I had 3 birds this morning.
Birds?
Uh-huh. Tealies.
Oh, yes.
It means good luck, yeah. And then when I got your note, naturally, I took it to Mamie. She does handwriting, too. And she said, you must be a fine gentleman. And otherwise, I wouldn't have answered you because I've never had a blind date before.
But I'm most grateful to Mamie.
Well, I think it's about time we left.
Oh, I don't know, Gloria. I see that you have a portable phonograph. You travel with that.
That's an old one. It's no good. It doesn't work too well. I've got to have it fixed.
I'm very fond of music, Gloria. What have you got?
It doesn't work,
Well,
honestly.
let's try one before we leave.
Hey, mister, look now.
What about this one? Moonlight Madonna. Why, that's the music you use in your act.
It's
Just play it.
old. I told you that phonograph doesn't work. Oh, come on. Why didn't you... Come on, let's...
You're wrong, Gloria. I see that works fine, you see.
All right, now, come on. I finished my drink. Let's go.
Could we have another one and listen to the record?
No. I've had enough, and you've had enough, too. So let's get
Must you wear that fur piece?
For your information, Mr. Wise Guy, this fur piece was given to Diane by Mr. Nat Kalsheim of the Morris office and is practically unobtainable on today's market. You just can't get it nowadays. I can wear this anywhere at all.
What I mean, Gloria, is that it doesn't do you justice. Nothing is beautiful enough for a girl with lips.
Don't you touch me.
Oh.
Don't you ever touch me, see?
You shouldn't have done that.
When I was a little girl, one night I was standing in the wings watching Diane, and a stagehand kissed me on the neck, and I just... Well, he's still carrying the scar on his forehead. I took the heel of my shoe, and I hit him. And he... Listen, don't you ever try to touch me again, see? Never. Come on now. We had our wine. It's 11:15, and we're going to go. We're going right now, you
You
understand?
didn't hear the rest of this record, Gloria.
You get out. You get out of my dressing room.
I do not want to leave yet, Gloria.
I'll show you. Hey! What are you...
With no use. I have the key.
Bill! Come in here and help me, Bill!
Bill is the name of the stage Norman that I met coming in. A liberal gratuity, a gentle hint, and he obligingly left you and me alone. Gloria.
And there we were, in the dressing room, backstage in that empty theater. Mr. Hawthorne, his knife, and me.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Charles Glotton and Miss June Havoc in Blind Date, tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Hey, Hap, listen to this. A letter from my old Arab pal, Hassam Ben Aud, the Karachi camel keeper. Dear Harlow, he says, you win wager. I now have a dozen droopy dromedaries dying for a drink.
What was the wager, Harlow?
Oh, I bet him Autolite Stay Full batteries could go without water longer than his camels.
Oh, no.
Why, sure. And it's like taking candy from a kid. Those Autolite Stay Full batteries need water only 3 times a year. And what's more...
More?
Sure. Autolite Stay Full batteries have more power, are packed with potent pep and punch. More life. Autolite Stay Full batteries gave 70% longer average life in recent tests based on SAE life cycle standards compared to batteries without the Stay Full features.
Is that all?
No, there's more. More life insurance. Autolite Stay Full batteries have a fiberglass retaining mat safeguarding every positive plate. So get an Autolite Stay Full battery. Remember, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Charles Lawton and June Havoc in Blind Date, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Get out. Get out of my dressing
There's
room.
no reason to be afraid of me, Gloria. You take your wine and sit down and listen to the music. Here.
I don't want it.
Now, why did you do that?
Because I don't want to have another drink here. I want to leave. Unlock that
Now,
door.
don't you be impatient, Gloria. We'll leave in a
Oh,
minute.
why can't we leave now? I want to get out for some fresh air.
You aren't frightened?
No, I'm not.
Why you...
You promised to take me to Gregory's for supper. I've done 4 shows a day for 6 days, and I'd like to relax. And tomorrow I've got to go. Listen, I'll even change my first piece, Mr. Hawthorne.
You know, Gloria, loneliness is a terrible thing. You can wander in a city of 1 million people and yet have no one to speak with. And you wander and you think there is no cure for loneliness. And there is a cure. As I watched you there dancing on the stage, I knew that loneliness has a cure. Just a simple kiss to banish loneliness forever.
Well, you're not going to kiss me. I'll tell you that much. I don't care how lonely you are. Well, I'm sick of this record here. I wish I'd never answered your note. I'll tell you that much.
But you did answer it, and here we are.
Well, a girl can make a
No,
mistake.
Gloria,
you know.
you didn't make a mistake. I'm a humble man, and I apologize to you.
Unlock the door.
I have been studying you, Gloria, ever since I came into the dressing room tonight. There is more to you than just a pretty face.
Oh, that kind of talk doesn't impress me. That kind of talk will get you exactly nowhere. Unlock the door.
Now, what if I told you that you'd successfully passed the test I really have been testing?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, when first I saw you 6 days ago, I knew there was a lot more to you than just a pretty face, and that's why I've been to see you dance every day. I wanted to make sure, and I came here tonight to test you.
Well, what do you mean
When
by
I tried to kiss you, that was the test. I had to find out what you were like. A man has to be careful, too, about a girl, I mean. And when you wouldn't let me kiss you, I knew you were someone that I could... Oh, Gloria.
See, I don't get you at all. And now you're almost as if you were going to
I
cry.
have a confession, Gloria. I have cried a great deal in my life.
Really? Have you really?
A very great deal.
Huh. Well, then, look, now that I've passed your test, you know what kind of a girl I am, don't you?
I know exactly what kind of a girl you are, Gloria.
All right, and then we understand each
Perfectly,
other.
and I know you and you know me.
All right, then, come on, let's put the show on the road.
There is just one thing.
What?
It's your dress.
What? So now it's my dress, is it?
Yes.
First it was my fur piece, and now it's my
It's
dress.
a very, very beautiful dress, but before we go out, I would like to see you for the last time in the costume you wear for your act.
Oh, you would.
green
Just
one,
what do you think?
I like the green one best, the golden spotlight.
Well, it's not here. I've already sent the trunk to the station. And
I don't believe that. What's this, then?
that's my other
You
trunk.
give me the key, will you?
I will
All
not.
right, then I'll open it my own way.
Put the knife
I
away, will
told
you?
you, Gloria, a knife is a very handy instrument. It's a very handy instrument to have.
Stop that. Will you stop that? You're going to break the lock. Get away from that trunk.
Don't you do that. Don't you ever try to take my knife away from me. Don't you ever try to take my knife away from me. I asked you to do a simple little thing. I asked you to wear your costume for me because you look very pretty in it. A simple thing like that would take only a minute of your time. You say it's packed and shipped, but I don't think it is. I'm going to find out whether it is. It's all right. I am going to find out. There, I've got it. And here's the dress right on top. Your beautiful green.
I won't put it on now. Do you hear me? I won't put it on for you or for anybody else. On top of everything else, you've broken my trunk. I just had that lock.
Go behind that screen and put it on.
I will.
Go on.
All right. I'll put it on.
That's a good girl. You know, Gloria, I didn't mean anything by showing you my knife. It's only just that I want to see you. I want to see you exactly as you look when you're performing on the stage. You're so beautiful, Gloria. Your eyes are greener than the sea. You're so lovely.
And all that isn't going to make me forget that knife or what you've done either.
I'm just a humble man. I'm a human being the same as you are, but I'm only lonely, Gloria. I'm terribly, unendurably lonely.
You've got friends, all right.
How does that go? I have no friends, said Lamia, no, not one. My presence in wide torrents hardly known. My parents' bones are in their dusty urns, sepulchred where no kindly incense burns. Seeing all their luckless race are dead, save me, and I neglect the holy rite for thee. Have you put on the costume?
Yeah. Well, now, here it is. All right, now, you take your look, Mr. Hawthorne. Just... Well...
It's lovely. It is.
All right, then I can...
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, how can you perform without music?
Perform?
Why else would I ask you to put on your costume? You're going to dance for me.
I'm not putting on a special act for anybody. You're not...
You see, you can't imagine the effect that this has on me. It is the way you twist and turn slowly and silently, so slow, so lovely, and so alone. Oh, so very much alone.
How alone? How could I be alone in a theater full of people?
You can be alone in a city of 1 million people. You had no one in that theater, Gloria, even though it was crowded. And now here in your dressing room, you have me to watch you, and you can perform for me alone.
Oh. Hey, what's the idea of turning off the lights?
All but the ones around your mirror. You see, that's your spotlight.
No,
You're on stage. Now that's for me and no one else. Don't you scream again. Don't you scream whatever you do. That upsets me.
If I do my act for you, if I do it just the way I do it on the stage, only this time just for you, if I do it for you like that, will you please go away?
Yes, Gloria. That's all I want you to do. I just want you to do it as if you were on the stage.
All right then. Sure.
Oh. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's great. Turn and twist. Now, down. Down. Go slowly. Why can't you do that for me? Why you won't come in the theater when all those other people were watching?
Honest, I'm sorry. It's such a small room, and when I do my kicks, I can't...
Yeah, but never mind. You go on, will you?
No,
go on.
No.
That's right. Easy. Oh, slowly. Please remember to do it slowly.
What you're going to do, and I don't know what it is. I just can't go on to my act anymore. I can't do it. I'm a decent, self-respecting girl. I accepted your invitation. I thought you were going to be nice because of your handwriting. You got me so scared. No matter what you do or say, I just can't see the bleed. Why can't you go away? Why don't you get out of my dressing room and leave me alone? I hate you.
You hate me. I knew that when I came in that door tonight that you hated me, and I'm accustomed to being hated. And let me tell you something, every girl with a nice dress and a pretty face hates me, Gloria. I don't care anymore. I was lonely. I went to the theater. I saw you there on the stage. I thought you were beautiful. I thought if I could see you alone in the same costume that you can wear it just for me and perform just for me, that I wouldn't be lonely anymore. That'd be enough. But it isn't enough.
No, don't you come near me. Don't you touch me.
A kiss is the cheapest thing in the world.
No.
A kiss means nothing to you. To me, it means everything. A kiss would cure my loneliness, Gloria.
I'll never kiss you.
I think you will.
Oh, please.
Now then, just tilt your head. That's right. Now.
Vincent, darling.
What did you say?
I said, darling.
Why did you say that?
What would you say if I really kissed you, huh? And you said it. A kiss means everything to you. Do you want me to really kiss you?
I can't believe it.
Oh, I'd kiss you. Really, I would, but...
What?
No, I'm afraid you're not.
Do you actually want to kiss me?
Yes, I guess. But the knife scared.
Oh, I never meant to use that, Gloria. Here, you take it.
What have I done? They'd been looking for him ever since he left London. They knew all about him. So they let me go. Self-defense. Loneliness is a terrible thing, he said. Well, no matter how lonesome I get, I'll never have another blind date as long as I live.
Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's stars, Charles Lawton and June Havoc in Blind Date.
Mr. Lawton, if you'll release Miss Havoc from your clutches, I'd like to get her in mine.
From clutches to cliches.
Well, we might say that, yes,
All
Mr.
right,
Lawton.
Mr. Wilcox, I'll do that. But I may say that it's being done with a great deal of reluctance, June.
Thank you. Mr. Wilcox, I'll bet you want me to tell you about the Autolite stay-full battery in my car, right?
I surely do, June. What is the woman's slant?
Well, Harlow, women are traditionally supposed to be unaware of an automobile's innards. However, I'm one who wants to know what's in my car.
Well, more women should, for more women drive cars today than ever before.
And an Autolite stay-full battery is my insurance that I'll get to the studio and other appointments on schedule. I get a hurry call, step on the starter, and I'm off.
June, you've got the best car starting insurance there is with an Autolite Stay Full battery. It's made by Autolite, makers of over 400 other products for cars, trucks, airplanes, and boats in 28 Autolite plants from coast to coast. Autolite also makes complete electrical systems for many makes of America's finest cars. Batteries, spark plugs, generators, starting motors, coils, distributors. All engineered to fit together perfectly, work together perfectly, because they're a perfect team. So, friends, don't accept electrical parts that are supposed to be as good. Ask for and insist on Autolite, original factory parts at your neighborhood service station, car dealer, garage, or repair shop. Remember, you're always right with Autolite. Next Thursday, for Suspense, Van Johnson will be our star. The play is called Defense Rests, and it is, as we say,
A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Tonight's Suspense play was produced and edited by William Spear and directed by Norman MacDonald. Music for Suspense is composed by Lucien Moraweck and conducted by Lud Gluskin. Blind Date was a radio play by E. Jack Newman and Harrison Negley. During the next 10 weeks, Charles Lawton will appear at Eastern universities and concert halls, reading from his favorite books. June Havoc will soon be seen starring in the Universal International picture, The Story of Molly X. In the coming weeks, you will hear such stars as Edward Arnold, Betty Davis, and Victor Mature. Don't forget, next Thursday, same time, Autolite will present Suspense, starring Van Johnson.
You can buy Autolite stay-full batteries, Autolite resistor spark plugs, Autolite electrical parts at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Suspense. Autolite and its 96,000 dealers present Mr. Van Johnson in The Defense Rests, a suspense play produced and edited by William Spear.
to mention this on radio. I was watching television the other night.
Hap, we're on the air.
Yeah, well, people gotta know this. I found out that cars, trucks, and buses equipped with ordinary spark plugs kick up a frightful fuss with TV pictures.
Well, that's not true of Autolite resistor spark plugs. Wonder of wonders, these wide-gap whizzes cut down television cut-ups.
They sure let your engine idle smoother, too, don't they?
Yes, Autolite resistor spark plugs let your engine idle smoother, give better performance on leaner gas mixtures, actually save you gas, and they have 200% longer electrode life. Autolite resistor spark plugs are backed by the research and engineering know-how of Autolite, leader in resistor-type spark plugs. Get Autolite resistor spark plugs from your Autolite dealer tomorrow. You're always right with Autolite. Oh, a reminder, Suspense on television may be seen on many stations throughout the country every Tuesday night.
And now, with the defense rests and with the performance of Van Johnson, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
A People versus Robert Tasker. The defendant charged under the indictment with murder in the first degree.
Is counsel for the defense prepared to proceed?
I am, Your Honor.
Very well, Mr. Krieger.
Your Honor, the court, please. I think it's fitting that for a moment I should speak openly to Your Honor and to the jury on a matter which has a substantial bearing on this case. I refer to the rather unique relationship existing between myself and the defendant, Robert Tasker. It is true that in my interest in him and in his fate is far greater than the normal interest of a lawyer in his client. This interest might reasonably be described as fatherly. And yet I ask Your Honor and the gentlemen of the jury to think of me in all fairness and without bias, simply as a lawyer defending his client.
My name is Robert Tasker. I am sitting in a courtroom on trial for murder. As Mr. Krieger, my lawyer, stands there now telling the judge and the jury about me and about him, I can't help thinking that if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here today. And thinking what an irony it is, too, because Mr. Krieger is the only friend I've ever had in the world. I'm an ex-con. My sentence was for 10 years. After I'd been there about a year, I began to write. Just short stories, little things. I had lots of time. Finally, I sent one to a magazine, and they published it. Mr. Krieger happened to read it. He wrote to me. Then he came to see me. He remembered my case. He said he'd try to help me. Then one day I was called to the warden's office.
Hello, Robert.
Hello, Mr. Krieger.
Robert, I've got some good news for you. I've got your parole. You're free. Well, you happy?
Sure, it's just that I still don't quite believe it.
It's official, Tasker. Here are your papers.
Papers? Oh, that'll make everything easy, won't it, Warden? Passport to a brilliant future. Ex-con.
Robert, I know it's going to be a little hard to adjust at first, but there's a job in my office.
Thanks, Mr. Krieger, but I don't want charity, even from you.
Oh, it isn't charity, Robert. I need a clerk in my office, or I wouldn't have offered you the job. You don't have to stay if you don't want to, but you'll be doing me a great favor if you try it.
Well, I guess I owe you at least one favor.
Well, Tasker, goodbye and good luck. Just remember that what's happened up here is water over the dam. Don't hold any grudges.
I don't hold any grudges, Warden. There's one man I hate, that's all.
A man you hate, Robert?
His name is Arthur Hines, and I hate him. It's simple as that.
Forget it, son. Hines was DA, then he was just doing a job, that's all. He had nothing against you.
He was doing a job, all right.
Robert, you mustn't feel that way. You'll get along with Hines, all right?
Get along with him?
In the office. Well, didn't I tell you? Arthur Hines is my new partner.
Well, it certainly threw me for a second to hear I was going to be working side by side with Hines. But, well, I made up my mind to play ball. The work wasn't hard, and I was able to do some writing on the side. Mr. Krieger always encouraged me in that, and Peggy helped me a lot, too. She helped me to believe in myself. All that time, I never saw Mr. Hines. He was out of town or something. And then one day, he came back. I was nervous at the idea of seeing him. He was in his office with someone. He'd come in the private entrance. Mr. Krieger was in that day, too, in his own office. I was out in the anteroom with Peggy by the switchboard.
Krager and Hines. I'm sorry Mr. Hines is in conference now. Can you call back later? About half an hour. Thank you.
But what's he really like, Peggy? I've never seen him except that time in court.
Oh, he's all right, I guess.
Well, how do you mean all right?
How do I know what he's like? I just work here. I'm not married to the man.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Robert. I guess I'm kind of jumpy today.
Well, what's the matter, Peggy?
It isn't anything. Nerves.
You've been that way ever since Hines came in.
Mr. Hines, how could he have anything to do with it?
I don't know.
Understand anything to language? No. Now get out.
Don't give me that, Hines. You've either got it or you know who has.
I don't know anything about it, and I don't want to know. Don't you think I've got enough trouble nowadays keeping mugs like you out of the pen without being a fence for what you stole? Now get out of this office and stay out.
Okay. But I'll be back. $50,000 is a lot of money.
Well, what do you want?
Why,
Robert works here, Mr. Hines.
My name's Robert Tasker. Didn't Mr.
I
Craig...
knew I'd seen you before. You're that punk kid I sent up to San Quentin. It was for 10 years. What do you mean you're working here?
Mr. Krager got me out. He gave me a job.
A job of what? Snooping outside my office?
I wasn't...
Don't talk back to me, you dirty little jail rat.
Why, you...
Robert, don't.
Let go.
Don't.
Leave me alone. Here. Let me go.
Stop it, both of you. Calm down. What's the matter?
What's the idea of bringing this ex-con into the office, Max? Isn't it bad enough to have to work with criminals all day?
Robert is not a criminal. He's here because I want him to be here. Because I believe in him and trust him.
Well, I don't like anyone hanging around outside my door when I'm having a private conference, that's all.
Now, look. Robert Tasker's one of the finest, most gifted young persons I've ever known. I want him to get along here. And I want him to get along with you, too, Arthur. You understand?
I can get along with anyone.
Well, sure you can. Everything forgotten now, eh? Start right off with a clean slate, eh?
Sure. Well, I'll see you later in the afternoon, Max.
Well, Robert, come into my office for a minute, will you?
Sure.
My boy, I'm terribly sorry. I don't know how to begin to apologize.
Why should you apologize? I just don't like him. He doesn't like me.
No, Robert, you're wrong there. It's just that things have been happening lately to upset him. Like this fellow Marvin and his $50,000.
Yeah, what's that all about?
Well, there's a poor fellow who's been in prison for the last 5 years. He claims he had quite a lot of money when he went in.
He thinks Hines hijacked it on him, huh?
Well, he says he left it with a pal of his, and later the pal was killed in a gunfight. Gallucci, you remember the case?
Yeah, I remember something about it.
Well, anyway, just before he died, Gallucci told somebody he'd left the money with Hines. That's how the story goes, anyway. But you know how these things travel on the grapevine. It's all nonsense, of course.
That guy meant business just the same.
Well, that probably explains the whole thing. Hines was a little scared. But don't let it worry you, Robert. You will stay, won't you?
Well...
Believe me, it's for the best.
Well, okay.
That's the spirit. And any other little troubles, you just bring them to me, will you?
Thanks. Well, I guess I'd better relieve Peggy on the board.
Keep your chin up, son.
Sure. Sorry I kept you waiting, Peggy.
That's all right.
Oh, what's the matter?
Please don't say anything.
Peggy, what is it?
Robert, I'm scared.
Scared of what? Hines? Don't be silly.
No, it's not him.
Well, what is it?
Rob, I shouldn't, but I've got to tell someone.
Sure you have, but take it easy now. What is it?
I've never told anyone before. Neither Mr. Hines nor Mr. Krager know. I'd die if they did. You wouldn't tell anyone, would you?
Of course I won't. Come on, spill it.
You saw that man who was in here, who was arguing with Mr. Hines about the $50,000.
Yeah.
Well, it's true. There is $50,000 somewhere.
Yeah? Well, how do you know all this?
I know. I'm scared. Robert, he's a killer.
That guy? Well, I wouldn't be surprised, but how do you know?
Because he's my brother.
I had a hunch to lay him out of there right then. I knew something was going to happen. But I hated to run out on Peggy when she was in a jam and might need help. And I didn't want to let Mr. Krager down either. I promised I'd stay until I could get sort of a start on my own. And he was the only man in all my life that ever treated me like a person instead of a thing. So I stayed. I didn't have any more trouble with Hines. We didn't speak to each other much. There wasn't any need to. And he was out of town most of the time anyway. He was out of town until that day. The day that he died.
Krager and Hines, I'm sorry he's out of town. You might try later this afternoon. Yes, I'll tell Mr. Hines.
Say, Peggy.
Uh-huh.
Do you know when Mr. Krieger will be in?
Well, he didn't say. He's still open. Harry.
Where is he?
Who?
You know who? Hines.
Oh, Harry, I told you not to come. I begged you not to.
Sure. Always a little pal. Always a little... Hey, wait a minute. What does this guy know?
I told him that you were my brother. But nobody else?
Yeah, sure. Okay, what do I care? I only care about one thing.
Harry, you promised me you wouldn't come up here.
Where's Hines?
I don't know. He's out.
And I'll wait till he comes back.
Harry, you mustn't.
I'm staying. I'll get it out of him.
Harry, your sister says you should leave.
You keep out of this, punk.
I don't like that word, pal.
Robert, listen. Will you watch the board for a few minutes?
Sure. It's lunchtime anyway.
Harry, I've got some things I want to talk over with you privately.
What things?
About Hines and, you know. Come on, we'll go downstairs to the grill in the lobby.
You wouldn't be trying to ease me out of here, would you?
No, honest. I've got to talk to you, Harry. Come on.
Okay. Now, you listen, pal.
Yeah?
If Mr. Hines comes in, you tell him I was here. And you tell him he better come across. Or else.
Is that all?
That's enough, isn't it? He'll know what I mean.
Sure. After they left, I just sat there. With this guy, Harry, feeling the way he did, even if he was a screwball with a jackpot like $50,000 kicking around somewhere, no matter who had it, I knew it was a cinch there was going to be a blow-off. And I knew I was going to be right in the middle of it. I didn't know how then, but I knew I was. A guy with a record always is. And there wasn't a thing I could do about it. So I just sat there waiting for trouble to happen. Krieger and Hines.
Hello, Robert. This is Max Krieger.
Oh, yes, Mr. Krieger.
You there alone, Peggy out to lunch?
Yes, she is.
Well, it can't be helped. I'm in a hurry. I'll tell you what I want you to do.
Yes, sir.
I'm across the street in the courthouse, Judge Andrews' court, the Ellsworth case. There are some notes I've got to have over here right away. They're in my own handwriting, pencil, and clearly marked Ellsworth.
Yes, sir.
You'll find them in Mr. Hines' office. The pages all clipped together. I don't know exactly where in his office, but keep looking till you find them.
All right, sir.
Then bring them over to me right away. Got it?
Yes, sir.
I'll be waiting for you.
I left the switchboard and went into Mr. Hines' office. I started looking around for the notes. I looked everywhere. I looked on top of the desk first, and then I looked in all the drawers. Then I looked in the filing cabinet. I even tried to look in the safe, but it was locked. Then I stopped and sort of looked around the room to see if there was anything I'd missed. And I noticed some yellow papers on top of the bookcase. I reached up and took them down. I was standing there with my back to the private entrance, looking the papers over to be sure they were the right ones.
What are you doing in here?
Mr. Krieger wanted some papers, Mr. Hines.
I thought I told you to stay away from my office. What are you snooping around here for?
Mr. Krieger told me to look in here for the...
Yeah, there's something mighty funny going on around this office.
There's nothing funny. Mr. Krieger
I say there is. What's the switchboard girl doing sneaking around the lobby with Harry Marvin? They tried to avoid me, but I saw them. First, the switchboard girl turns out to have a crazy ex-convict for a boyfriend, and now...
That's a lie. He's her brother.
Her brother? Oh, so that's it.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that, Mr. Hines. I don't know anything about
it. Oh, you don't? Well, I do. I get it now. I knew there was something, and all of a sudden, I get it.
Mr. Hines, there's nothing to get.
So the girl and her brother go down to the lobby and set themselves an alibi because they know I'll suspect them and get you to do their dirty work for a nice fat cut.
Please, Mr. Hines, don't talk that way.
Well, you didn't find it, did you? And you won't. Now you get out of here, you little punk.
I said don't talk that way.
You dirty, thieving little spot.
I told you not to talk that way. He fell and just lay there. For a minute, I didn't know what to do. Then I knew I'd have to tell Mr. Krieger. I knew I was all washed up there anyway. I couldn't very well expect even a man like Mr. Krieger to choose between his law partner and me. And I couldn't stay in the same office with Mr. Hines after what had happened. Somehow, I wanted to tell Mr. Krieger myself before anyone else did. I went out to the switchboard and dialed the courthouse number.
Judge Andrews, Court Johnson speaking.
I want to speak to Mr. Max Krieger. This is his office calling.
Well, I don't see him around here right now. The court's in recess.
I know, but try to locate him, will you? It's important.
Okay, hold the line.
I sat there waiting for them to find Mr. Krieger. And all of a sudden, I remembered the papers he wanted. I cut off the call on the switchboard. I went back to Mr. Hines' office. He was just lying there, just as I'd left him. and yet there was something different. I went over and looked at him more closely. His face was a terrible gray color. I touched his wrist, feeling for his pulse. And next thing I knew, I was down on my knees, tearing open his collar. But even then, I knew it wasn't any use. Mr. Hines was dead.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Van Johnson in The Defense Rests. Tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Hey, Hap, did I tell you about my hobby?
Hobby?
Yeah, I collect old-fashioned narrow-gap spark plugs that have been replaced with smooth-firing wide-gap Autolite resistor spark plugs.
You got many of the old-fashioned plugs?
Many. I've got millions. That's because millions of Autolite resistor spark plugs are in use today. And that means millions of masterful motorists are enjoying the bountiful benefits of these wide-gap wonders.
Did you say benefits, Harlow?
Yes, sir, Hap. The new wide-gap Autolite resistor spark plugs have 200% longer electrode life. And in addition, they give smoother idling and better performance on leaner gas mixtures, which means actual gas savings. Also, famous Autolite resistor spark plugs reduce spark plug interference with radio and television reception. Years of research and the engineering know-how of the leader in resistor-type spark plugs are behind the famous Autolite resistor spark plugs. Get a set today from your nearby Autolite dealer. Remember, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Van Johnson in The Defense Rests. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I don't know how long I stood there in the room. It might have been hours. It might have been only a couple of minutes. I just stood there, my mind dazed, and yet at the same time racing through 1,000 half-formed plots and schemes of escape, of what I could say, of some way out. Then the switchboard began to buzz with an incoming call. It sort of brought me to my senses. More out of habit than anything else, I went out to answer it. Krager and Hines.
Robert, you still there?
Mr. Krager,
Where are those notes? Haven't you found them yet?
Yes, I found them all right.
Well, bring them over here. I need them right away.
Mr. Krager,
Robert, what's the matter with you?
I just killed Mr. Hines. Pretty soon the police came. I called them myself. Mr. Krager said it was the only thing to do, and I knew he was right. He said he'd be in touch with me as soon as he was through at court. I didn't know what he could do. I didn't think there was much he'd want to do. But it made me feel better to have him talk that way. The police took me across town in a squad car. I knew what I was in for. The police don't like ex-convicts, particularly one that they think has been mixed up with murder.
Yeah, you're just making it hard for yourself, Tasker.
I've told you what happened.
In a pig's eye you have.
I don't have to talk if I don't want to.
No?
I'm waiting for Mr. Krager. I told you that.
Krager? What do you think he's going to do for you?
I don't know, but he told me he'd come down.
Oh, sure, of course he'll come down to give evidence against you. Oh, now, listen, Tasker. If you give a full confession, we may be able to get a break for you.
Yeah, Mr. Krager's outside. He wants to see you.
Oh, yeah? Okay, send him in.
Okay, Mr. Krager. Hi, boys.
Hi.
Hello, Robert.
Hello, Mr. Krager.
They've been treating you all right?
Pretty good.
Fine. I don't like to have people get rough with my clients.
You're what?
You heard me, Captain. While you're at it, you might as well take those handcuffs off him, because from this moment he's out on bond, released in my custody. I got the papers right here.
Say, are you crazy?
Certainly not. I simply don't believe the boy did it, that's all.
Look, Krager, why try to kid us? It's an open and shut case. Tasker's the only person who had the opportunity. The only one who had a motive. Well?
Not to speak ill of the dead, Captain, and although Arthur Hines was my law partner, it's unfortunately true that quite a number of people at least thought they had a motive.
Oh, sure. So maybe this other ex-con, Harry Marvin, had a motive. Maybe even the dame on the switchboard had a motive, for all I know. But they couldn't have done it. 50 people saw them together downstairs in the lobby of the building at the time the murder was committed.
Oh, you've talked to them, have you?
Listen, this kid admits he had a quarrel with Hines. He always hated him anyway. He admits he hit him. So he picks the paperweight off the desk, smashes him over the head.
Wait a minute. You didn't say anything about that, Robert.
Oh, I didn't even know about it before. I didn't hit him with any paperweight.
Oh, stop it, will you? The back of the man's head was bashed in with that paperweight, and this kid's fingerprints were all over it. Well, what's so funny? This is murder, mister.
I'm sorry. But you'll find out if you ever try to bring this boy to trial for killing Arthur Hines with a paperweight.
Listen, Krieger, you're not going to make a chump out of me. This boy is going to be indicted for murder, he's going to be convicted of murder, and he's going to burn for murder.
Indicted, convicted, burned. 3 promises. And the first one's already happened. The second one? Well, even I can see we don't stand much chance. And the third one, I just try not to think about it. But there is Mr. Krieger up before that jury, acting as though it was an absolute certainty that I'd be cleared. Pleading to me as though I were the only guy in the world because, well, that's the kind of a guy he is.
It is my firm conviction that when you have heard this boy's story from his own lips and gained an insight, as I have, into the depth and integrity of his character and spirit, you will also believe him innocent. He is innocent. Now, Robert, I'll ask you to take the stand, please.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated.
Now, Robert, just for the record, will you tell the court your full name?
Robert Loring Tasker.
Your age?
24.
Your mother and father are dead. You have no living relatives?
No, no one.
Now, before you begin your story, there are 1 or 2 extremely important points that I particularly wish to emphasize to the court. Now, tell me, Robert, how long was it between the time you quarreled with Mr. Hines and the time you went back into his office and found him dead?
Not long. 6 or 7 minutes, perhaps.
6 or 7 minutes, eh? Long enough for someone to have entered Mr. Hines' office by the back entrance, struck him, and left again. Now, concerning this famous paperweight the prosecution has talked so much about, I have it here. Do you recognize it?
Yes. It was always on Mr. Hines' desk.
Now, tell me, when you went in his office at my order to look for certain papers, you touched this paperweight, did you not?
Yes, I touched just about everything on the desk.
Exactly. In other words, your fingerprints would be found not only on this paperweight, but on practically everything else in the room.
Yes, they would.
In due course, Your Honor, we shall demonstrate that such is, in fact, precisely the case. Now, Robert, when Mr. Hines found you in his room, he was irate and highly suspicious, was he not?
Yes, he was.
In fact, he even suspected that there was some plot against him, involving Peggy, the switchboard girl, and a client of his named Harry Marvin.
Yes, he did.
You denied this, saying that, in fact, they were brother and sister.
Yes. How is... Yes, that's right.
You denied the charge of a plot, saying that Peggy and Harry Marvin were brother and sister. Then Mr. Hines went so far as to accuse you of stealing.
Your Honor.
Yes?
Your Honor, there's something I've just thought about, some new evidence. I'd like a few minutes alone with my lawyer.
Well, if counsel has no objection.
Oh, Robert, what is it?
It's just something that I think I ought to tell you in private.
Oh, very well. If Your Honor, please, then...
By all means. Perhaps you'd like to use my chambers.
Thank you, Your Honor. Come along, Robert. Well, you didn't have to lock the door, Robert.
I want it to be private.
All right. But, Robert, you mustn't worry like this. Let me do the worrying. They can't convict you if there's a reasonable doubt. That's the law. And there is a reasonable doubt. Someone did come in and hit Hines in those 6 or 7 minutes. It must have been that way.
Yes, I know.
Well, of course you do. We've been over the whole thing. Now, let's go back into the courtroom.
Mr. Krieger, there's something I haven't told you.
Something you haven't told me? What?
It's a little thing, but it's kind of important because it's something I never told anyone except a dead man.
Well, what is it?
I never told anyone that Peggy was Harry Marvin's sister except Mr. Hines.
Now, Robert, don't you think that's a little trivial?
No, because you know about it. You just said so in the courtroom.
Well,
and there's only one way you could have found out. You must have been in your office when I had the fight with Hines and heard me tell him.
Oh, Robert, that's ridiculous.
Oh, no, it isn't. Because you're right. Somebody did come in those 6 or 7 minutes and kill Hines. You did.
You're crazy.
It must have been for that $50,000. You hijacked the hijacker. And you knew they'd pin it on me with my record.
I'm not going to stay here and listen to any such nonsense.
Yes, you are, because I'm going to get the truth out of you. You planned it that way, didn't you? You sent me into Hines's office that day, and you probably sent him.
Robert,
And you figured you were such a hot lawyer, you might even get me off for 20 years or so to ease your dirty conscience, didn't you?
Talk, Krager! You won't get anywhere using violence with me.
No!
Talk! Now, wait a minute. Even if I did confess, it wouldn't hold up as evidence. Talk! Listen, we'll postpone the trial. I can get you out of the country. I'll give you money.
That's all I wanted to know.
Talk!
You did it, didn't you? You killed him.
Stop! Talk! Stop it! Stop it!
That's where you were when I phoned you at Stop They couldn't find you, weren't you?
Stop it! You were killing eyes, weren't you? Stop it! Stop it! Yes. Yes, I did it.
Okay.
I killed him.
I guess we can unlock the door now.
What's going on here?
Grab him, Your Honor. He's crazy. He attacked me.
So I gather.
He even accused me of murder.
Yes, we heard him. Tell me, Krager, where were you when this boy phoned you here at court? When they couldn't find you?
Why, Your Honor, as a matter of fact, I was right here. Right in this very courtroom. I had some work to do. I wanted privacy. Your court was in recess. You were out of town.
Yes, I know. You say you were right here in this room.
Yes, that's right.
And then, Krager, there's something you don't know.
What?
On the day of the murder, the floor of this room was being repainted. And the paint, Mr. Krager, was quite wet.
Your Honor, the defense rests.
Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Van Johnson.
Ever do crossword puzzles, Harlow?
Sure. Hap, need a word?
Yes, a 5-letter one meaning smooth firing.
Why, that's easy. A-L-R-S-P.
A-L-R-S-P? That's no word. Pronounce it.
I can't. But A-L-R-S-P, Autolite resistor spark plugs, are the newest sensation built for your car. They let your engine idle smoother, run better on leaner gas mixtures, actually save you gas. Autolite resistor spark plugs are just one of more than 400 products made by Autolite for cars, trucks, planes, and boats in 28 Autolite plants coast to coast. Autolite also makes complete electrical systems for many of America's finest cars. Spark plugs, batteries, coils, generators, starting motors, distributors. All engineered to fit together perfectly, work together perfectly, because they're a perfect team. So, folks, don't accept electrical parts that are supposed to be as good. Ask for and insist on Autolite original factory parts at your neighborhood service station, car dealer, garage, or repair shop. Remember, you're always right with Autolite. Next Thursday, for Suspense, Edward Arnold will be our star. The play is called Account Payable, and it is, as we say,
a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Tonight's Suspense play was produced and edited by William Spear and directed by Norman MacDonald. Music for Suspense is composed by Lucien Morawek and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The Defense Rests was written by Roland Brown, adapted for radio by Robert L. Richards. Van Johnson appeared by arrangement with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of The Red Danube, starring Walter Pidgeon, Ethel Barrymore, and Peter Lawford. Don't forget, next Thursday, same time, Autolite will present Suspense, starring Edward Arnold.
You can buy Autolite resistor spark plugs, Autolite stay-full batteries, Autolite electrical parts at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
The new National Guard offers men an unequaled opportunity for part-time military training at home. Get the facts, then get in the Guard. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Suspense. Autolite and its 96,000 dealers present Mr. Edward Arnold in Account Payable, a suspense play produced and edited by William Spear.
It's a pip for pep and power.
What is, Harlow?
A beaut for bustling bounce and brawn.
Yeah, but what?
It's the famous Autolite Stay Full battery. The battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. Why, its larger liquid reserve above the plates, as compared to ordinary batteries, helps leak one of the leading causes of battery failure. It has an extra life guard, too, fiberglass retaining mats to protect every positive plate. Yes, sir, in tests conducted according to SAE life cycle standards, Autolite Stay Full batteries gave 70% longer average life than batteries without Stay Full features. So, friends, get an Autolite Stay Full battery for your car. And remember, you're always right with Autolite. Oh, a reminder, Suspense on television may be seen in many parts of the country every Tuesday night.
And now, with Account Payable and with the performance of Mr. Edward Arnold, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
When you wait for something, a minute seems like an hour like a century. I've heard that all my life, but now, waiting for a door to open, a door at the far end of a big office, at last I realize the true meaning of those words. He's in there, in that office, but he won't be the one to open the door this time. A dead man doesn't open doors. That body. Sooner or later, someone will have to discover that body. But why do I feel it must be later? It seems like almost all my life I've watched Mr. Waterbury's door. The door at the far end of the office marked private. Bang open and that biting, snarling voice.
Mr. Baker! Mr. Timothy Baker! Will you come in here?
And I'd quickly lay down my pencil, take off my eye shade, pick up the accounts payable ledger, and walk the full length of the office. With all eyes upon me until I was at that impersonal, frosted glass door. As many times as I'd walked down that aisle, as well as I knew these people all around me, it still made me uncomfortable. And as many times as I'd been in Mr. Waterbury's office, I still trembled slightly inside.
Well, Baker, have you the accounts payable ledger with you?
Yes, Mr. Waterbury, right here.
Oh. Draw up a chair, Baker. I want to go over these with you.
I'll stand if you don't mind.
Stand. That's right. Those chairs are too heavy for you to move. That it? Too heavy.
Too heavy. Waterbury's favorite joke. Because I'm a big man, but he's a wiry giant. There were only 2 things we had in common, Mr. Waterbury and I. We worked in the same office. And we were both sick men. But after 5 o'clock, my life was different. I shook off my bonds and I was king. My daughter, my Jessie, would be waiting for me. And every night I knew that there was no indignity that John Woodbury or anyone else in the world could subject me to. It wasn't more than outweighed by a single smile from my little girl. Jessie, darling.
I'll be with you in a second, Dad. Dinner's all ready.
All right, dear. I'll wash up.
Here, kiss me.
Get away from me. My face is all wet.
Here?
All right. There. Now, not another ounce of infection until I'm fed and cared for.
I got your favorite tonight. Lamb stew.
Fine. Yes. There's only one place set, aren't you?
Mr. Timothy Baker, how can you have such a brilliant, beautiful, thoughtful daughter when you're so absent-minded?
Huh?
Wednesday night, remember? Dinner date, remember? Fraternity party, remember?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I completely forgot. Tonight it is, huh? Well, and what time do you leave?
Well, I'll have a cup of coffee with you, and then I'm going over to Margaret's house, and the boys will pick us up there.
Ah, that's wonderful. At last. An evening alone.
Oh.
Peace and quiet.
Baker, you won't know what to do with yourself. Well, you'll sit up and read a mystery book till I come home. And then you'll say, home already? Didn't you enjoy yourself?
All right. You win. Who's taking you?
I don't know.
What?
Won't know, in fact, until he picks me up at Margaret.
Oh.
Isn't it exciting?
Yes, I'm sure. Well, all right. Where's my napkin And sure enough, I was sitting up in bed with a mystery book when she came home. I heard her close the door and come up the stairs. Jessie?
Dad, put down that book and get to sleep.
Enjoy yourself?
Oh, I had a wonderful time, Dad. Perfectly grand. It's 2 o'clock, and you've got to get up at 7, and so good night.
Good night, dear. I knew that someday Jessie would marry and leave me for a home of her own. It didn't worry me, although I thought 20 was, well, a rather tender age. She was so shy this time. No mention of the boy. Just a new bloom in her cheeks, a distant look in her eyes. During the days that followed, I was practically living in the house by myself. Jess was so lost in her own little world. Then there was a black night. The night I heard the door slam. It wasn't like Jessie not to say goodnight, even if it was only a cold word through my closed door. I sat still for a moment, then put down my book and got out of bed. I could hear Jessie sobbing.
I'm sorry. Good night, Dad.
Jessie, what's the matter?
Nothing, it's nothing.
Jessie, darling, what's wrong?
Oh, Dad, I'm so unhappy.
Oh, there, sweetheart. What's the trouble? Nothing can be that bad. Nothing in the world should make you cry like that.
It's Bill. No, Dad, I'm so in love with him. I know it, and
Oh, I see. You had a fight.
Oh, no. No, he hasn't done a thing except be sweet and wonderful and thoughtful and kind and...
Well, then what's wrong? Hasn't he got a job?
Well, he's studying. He'll be a doctor in about another year. No, it's not that. It's his father.
His father?
Yes, his father. He didn't know Bill was going with me. When he met me, when he bumped into us on the street by mistake, he even seemed to like me. Until...
Until what? Come. Tell me.
Oh, Dad, Bill's father is Mr. Waterbury. And when he found out I was your daughter, he...
I felt the blood rush to my head and my body grow weak. Mr. John Waterbury. The daughter of a bookkeeper. Even his head bookkeeper wasn't fit for his son. His son was going to be a doctor. I felt myself growing dizzy.
Oh, Dad, sit down.
Huh?
Oh, Dad, it's not another attack, is it?
No,
please,
no,
sit here. Oh, I didn't mean to upset you. Oh, Dad.
It's all right. I was prepared for the next day. I knew Mr. Waterbury would call me, and for the first time in my life, I was prepared to stand up to him. He could do what he wanted to me, but not to my Jessie. I'd quit. I'd take her to South America.
Baker, come in here at once. Well, come in, Baker.
Yes, Mr. Waterbury.
Close that door.
Yes, Mr. Waterbury.
Baker, how long have you worked for me?
22 years last November, sir.
And this is how you pay me back.
I don't understand.
You understand. Baker, my son graduates from medical school in just 1 year. He'll do it without a wife. I won't have him getting serious with a girl, especially one who can do him no good. A doctor, a young doctor, starting out today, needs to marry position, family, society. Otherwise, he's licked before he begins. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
Now, I have nothing against you. Your daughter is a pretty girl. But let her go with her own class. Let her stay in her own class.
But, Mr. Waterbury...
Yes.
Yes.
What is it?
Well, I didn't know she was going with your son.
Well, she has been. And I won't have it, you hear?
I won't have it.
Please, Mr. Waterbury, don't get excited. Your asthma.
Oh, blast the asthma. I won't have it, you understand? I won't have it.
Please don't excite yourself.
I'm not excited.
But, sir,
I'm all right. Oh, the needle in my desk drawer, top drawer. Get the needle.
For the past 10 years, Mr. Waterbury's asthma attacks had grown increasingly severe until he was forced to have an adrenaline hypodermic handy at all times. For just such a case as this, the adrenaline was magic. The coughing stopped. He sank back in his chair, white and exhausted.
That's my final word, Baker. Tell your daughter.
Yes, sir.
I think I'm going to take the rest of the day off.
Mr. Waterbury, I have to work on some records in the safe. What should I do?
I'll leave it open. Make sure you close the safe when you leave. And lock my door.
Yes, sir. How I hated myself, weakling, coward. But 22 years is a long time. The ingrained habit of 22 years kept me the bookkeeper, him the boss. I opened the safe and took out Mr. Waterbury's private ledger. In so doing, I knocked over a small lockbox. The key was still in the lock, and curiosity got the better of me. I snapped up the lid and... $500 bills. 2 thick packets of $500 bills. I counted 50 bills in each pack. $50,000. My mind raced. I remembered stories, rumors of black market operations in drugs. If this was the result, no wonder it was in cash and in the box. Waterbury had been to the bank yesterday and had come back with the package. This must be it. Undeclarable profit. Money without record, money without claim, illegal profit. If it was lost, no police force could be called in to recover it. It was, I was watching someone else. A tired old bookkeeper, removing the money from the box, putting it in a large envelope. He stuffed the lockbox with a package of blotters, and I realized that this was me. This was Timothy Bacon. I was stealing the money. I locked the box, replaced it. I was putting the key in my pocket when I heard a hand on the door. I raised the seat cushion of the big black leather chair, jammed the envelope under it, and turned to the ledger I was working on.
Oh, Baker.
Yes, Mr. Waterbury, yes.
I was halfway out of the building. I forgot something. Did you see a little black metal box in the safe?
Box? You mean that one over there?
Oh, yes, that's it. I've got to take it home. Goodbye, Baker. And don't forget to talk to your daughter tonight. A final warning, remember?
Yes, Mr. Waterbury, I will.
And remember to lock the safe.
Yes, Mr. Waterbury. He closed the door, and I stood there. I was thinking very clearly. He hadn't missed the key. But before long he would. And his next move would be to break the box open. And then he would remember. He would suspect me. That money was mine. I'd earned it. It would take me to South America. It would take us, Jesse and me, away from all the John Waterburys of the world. But I needed time. I had to get out before he discovered his loss. How? And then even if I did get away, he would know I had done it. And vindictive, he'd keep after me as long as he lived. As long as he lived. Yes, but what if Mr. John Waterbury were to die before he opened that box?
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Edward Arnold in Account Payable, tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Say, Harlow, did you ever drive a camel?
Drive a camel? Why, I've driven camels to distraction since I've been spreading the word about Autolite Stay Full batteries needing water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
You mean you've given camels a complex?
You bet. The dreary dromedaries are dejected, discouraged, distressed, and dismayed because they can't hold a candle to Autolite's larger liquid capacity.
Wilcox the camel baiter.
Autolite Stay Full batteries need water only 3 times a year in normal car use, and it's their extra liquid reserve above the plates that helps eliminate one of the major causes of battery failure. Autolite Stay Full batteries have fiberglass retaining mats protecting every positive plate. And they have extra long life, too. 70% longer average life, in fact, than batteries without Stay Full features, according to tests based on SAE life cycle standards.
It's the battery that makes camels cry.
Yes, sir. The Autolite Stay Full battery needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. Get one for your car. Remember, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Edward Arnold in Account Payable, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Yes, I had the solution. Mr. Waterbury would die, and I would have $50,000, a fitting retirement sum for 2 years of hard work. But how? I looked around the room and knew that I was thinking more clearly, more quickly than I ever had in my life. My eyes came to rest upon a group of sample bottles, samples of new Waterbury Drug Company products. I picked up one small bottle marked poison. I felt a sudden rush of blood to my head. My body seemed to be floating, weak. I was perspiring, but something kept driving me to act, and act quickly. Poison. Poison. And how to administer it. How to... The hypodermic needle, of course. Poison. Self-inflicted. Technical suicide. It would be easy, simple. I emptied the adrenaline out of Mr. Waterbury's ever-present hypodermic needle and filled it with the colorless liquid from the bottle in my hand. This was the poison of freedom. The poison of my freedom.
Mr. Baker, I'm sorry.
What is it, Miss Jones? What is it?
Mr. Baker, I'm in awful trouble. Could you come right away, please? I've got Abilene, Texas on the phone, and Mr. Baker, if Mr. Waterbury finds out, I'll get fired.
All right. I'll be right there.
No, Mr. Baker, please, come now.
Oh, all right. Lock the safe, will you?
Oh, sure thing.
It was a maddening interruption. I was shaking with impatience, and yet as I strode to the telephone, as I talked to our representative in Texas, I felt a new authority in my manner, a new strength of character. Yes, Mr. Peterson. Yes, the shipment is completely insured. You haven't a thing to worry about. No, sir. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Goodbye.
You have lots of authority when you want to use it.
Well, Miss Jones, you shouldn't get so excited. It doesn't pay.
Oh.
And now may I go back to my work?
Oh, of course, Mr. Baker.
Miss Jones.
Yes?
Miss Jones, this door to Mr. Waterbury's office. I can't open it.
Well, you told me to lock it.
Lock it, you stupid fool. Don't you know I haven't got the key? Don't you know nobody but Mr. Waterbury has the key?
You told me to lock it.
The safe! The safe! I told you to lock the safe, not the office. How am I going to get in there?
Mr. Baker, please. Sit here, you're purple. Oh, Mr. Baker!
Yes, I had fainted. All I could visualize was that envelope under the cushion of a chair in Mr. Waterbury's office. The envelope with $50,000 so near, and I couldn't get into that office until the next day. Why, even the cleaning woman had to get a key from Mr. Waterbury himself to go in there once a week. Well, I went home. There was nothing else to do.
You look awfully tired, Dad. Why don't you go to bed?
Oh, I'm really not tired, Jessie. I'm just a little nervous.
But I told you shouldn't be. Don't worry about Bill or Mr. Waterbury or me.
I won't.
We'll work things out. You wait and see.
Of course, dear, of course. Yes, I'll get to bed right away. But it was no use. Sleep just wouldn't come. No, I could only think of Mr. Waterbury, of a lockbox without a key, $50,000 of the broken heart of my darling Jessie, and of a hypodermic needle filled with poison. Finally, it was morning, and I was in the office. Mr. Waterbury was in when I arrived, even though I came a half hour early. The reports were that Waterbury was raging mad. I waited on edge.
Baker! Mr. Baker, will you come in here?
Yes, sir.
Baker, when you were working here yesterday, did you see that lockbox?
Oh, of course, Mr. Waterbury. I handed it to you, don't you remember?
That's not what I mean. Did you see the key?
Key?
Key, yes, the key to the box. Was it in the safe?
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I didn't see any key.
You fool, didn't you see anything?
No, sir.
Oh, Baker, come here. Now, here is the safe. You examine it. I've got to find that key. I've been all through it, do you hear? It's not there.
Well, I'll look for it, Mr. Waterbury.
You look there. I'll look here. Maybe it fell under here.
I'm sorry. I can't find anything that even resembles a key. The telephone.
I'll get it. Yes. This is John Waterbury. What? Oh, no. It can't be. Thank you. I'll forget about this right now. Baker. Do you know that Baker, my boy Bill...
Mr. Waterbury.
Needle. Get the needle.
I started to open mechanically the desk drawer when I froze to the spot. Waterbury was writhing on the floor, gasping for breath, turning a deep red color. I couldn't move. His eyes started to bulge, and his face was contorted with agony. The drawer which held the hypodermic needle was half open in my hand when another thought flashed through my brain. Poison can be traced. Death from suffocation in the throes of an asthmatic attack could not be. Slowly, I closed the desk drawer and stood near Waterbury. He could hardly breathe. He gasped spasmodically. Years of incessant, brow-beating flashed before me as I watched him transfixed. Then, with one final convulsive gasp, he stopped breathing and fell back. I waited until every muscle spasm stopped. I reached over and felt his heart, and I knew that at last Mr. John Waterbury was dead. As soon as I caught control of myself, I backed out of his office as though I was still talking to him. Yes, Mr. Waterbury. I'll take care of those accounts payable right away, sir. Yes, sir.
Baker, how is he? You look scared to death.
Oh, he's bad this morning.
Oh?
Yes, really on the warpath. You said you're not to bother him under any circumstances. So don't let any calls through or anything until he gives you the go-ahead.
Oh, don't worry. You couldn't get me inside that office. Not for anything.
I don't blame you. I hope I never have to go in there again. I came back to my desk. An hour would give me time. An hour, and I can compose myself so that I can face that dead body on the floor without exposing myself. I need that hour. Peter Galloway, my assistant, came up to me a few moments ago and...
Tim, did you go over that ledger of the old man's yesterday?
Well, I didn't get too much chance, Peter. Miss Jones called me out of the office.
Oh, yeah, I know. Miss Jones was in a jam again. You got locked out. Yeah, I remember.
Yes.
Hey, it's lucky you didn't leave that accounts payable ledger in there. Oh, the old man would have blown his top.
Yes, but he blew his top anyhow.
Oh, yeah? I wonder what's eating him.
I don't know.
Well, I got to get to that ledger. So I'll just have to go in and beard the lion in his den.
No, you can't.
What? No.
I mean, you better wait an hour or so. I'll go in there in a little while and get it for you.
Yeah, but I need it.
There's something in there I need, too. Be a good boy, Peter. Have patience. You've got a wife and a family. You need your job. I've worked here for 22 years. I know Mr. Waterbury. Now, don't go in there just now.
Well, okay, if you say so. What did you leave in there?
Why, I left... Oh, just something personal.
Oh, I see.
Something personal. $50,000 that rightfully belonged to me. After Peter Galloway went back to his desk, I relaxed for a moment. And now Why am I so frightened? Sooner or later, someone will have to discover that body. But why do I feel that it must be later? Bill Waterbury, young Waterbury, my Jesse's Bill just came in. Miss Jones is arguing with him.
Look, Miss Jones, I know you're efficient. I know what a terror dad is, but this is important.
But he doesn't want to be disturbed, Mr. Bill.
I know his blood pressure's up, and I know what's causing it. I'm a doctor. When he sees me, he'll explode completely, or he'll calm down.
I know.
Did he get a phone call about 3/4 of an hour ago?
Yes, I think he did. But he left instructions.
Yeah, I know who called him, and I know what his trouble is. You catch me if I come flying out. Won't even answer. Well, here goes.
Mr. Baker, I was...
Shut up.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I mean that...
Can I have some help in here, please? It's Dad. He's passed out. Passed out? Here, Galloway. You take his feet. We'll get him up off the floor. Here we go. Get him on. That's it.
Here. You ought to get a pillow for his head. Tim, get a pillow.
A pillow?
Yeah, get anything. Miss Jones. Miss Jones, go get a glass of water. Yeah, how's it coming, Bill?
Where can I find a pillow?
I don't know. Take that cushion off the black leather chair. That'll do.
The black leather chair?
Yeah.
Don't bother, Mr. Baker.
What?
I said don't bother. It isn't necessary. My father's dead.
Dead?
Oh. Must have had a bad attack and couldn't get to his adrenaline. I knew it had happened someday. I just knew it.
Well, what do we do? Call the hospital or the police?
I think you'd better call the police and report it.
Yeah.
Mr. Baker, would you please?
Yes. Now, come on. Snap out of it, Tim. Tim, you're shaking like a leaf. Here, I'll do it. Tim.
Mr. Baker, why, he's fainted again.
What? No, he'll be all right. He's just fainted.
Get a doctor.
Here, let me take care of him. I'm almost a doctor. I've got to take care of him. He doesn't know it, but he's my father-in-law. I married his daughter this morning.
How is he?
Wait till I open his collar. Yeah. Say, this is serious.
What is it? Is he going to be all right? Oh, poor Mr.
You think I'd better call somebody?
His pulse is terribly weak. We've got to act quickly. This isn't a normal fainting spell. He almost feels...
Do something.
All right, but what, though?
I know. Roll up his sleeve, Miss Jones.
What?
Adrenaline. A shot of adrenaline will bring him right around.
Oh.
Galloway, in the top drawer of Dad's desk, there's a little black box and a hypo needle.
All right.
It's filled with adrenaline. Hurry up. Bring it over here. That's it. Now. Good. He'll be all right now.
Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Edward Arnold.
Oh, say, Mr. Arnold.
Yes, Mr. Wilcox.
I understand you own an orange ranch out San Bernardino way.
That's right.
Well, I'm glad to know that.
My lad, you have a very commercial glint in your eye.
What else? Anyhow, on an orange ranch, you're using batteries for trucks, tractors, and stuff like that there.
Your English is wrong, but your assumption is correct. All right, come on. Give me the pitch on your Autolite stay-full batteries.
Well, time's limited here, Mr. Arnold, so I'll just repeat. Autolite stay-full batteries need water only 3 times a year in normal car use. That's typical of the superiority Autolite builds into more than 400 products for cars, trucks, planes, and boats in 28 plants coast to coast. And you'll find the same dependable quality in the complete electrical systems Autolite makes for many of America's finest cars. Batteries, spark plugs, generators, starting motors, coils, distributors. All engineered to fit together perfectly, work together perfectly, because they're a perfect team. So, friends, don't accept electrical parts that are supposed to be as good. Ask for and insist on Autolite original factory parts at your service station, car dealer, garage, or repair shop. Remember, you're always right with Autolite. Next Thursday, for Suspense, our star will be Miss Betty Davis. The play is called Goodnight, Mrs. Russell. And it is, as we say...
A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Tonight's suspense play was produced and edited by William Spear and directed by Norman MacDonald. Music for Suspense is composed by Lucian Morawek and conducted by Lud Gluskin. Account Payable was an original radio play written by Robert Platt. Edward Arnold appeared by arrangement with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of The Red Danube, starring Walter Pidgeon, Ethel Barrymore, and Peter Lawford. In the coming weeks, Suspense will present such stars as Victor Mature, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, and Red Skelton. And don't forget, next Thursday, same time, Autolite will present Suspense, starring Betty Davis.
You can buy Autolite stay-full batteries, Autolite resistor spark plugs, Autolite electrical parts at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
The increased demand for community chest services indicates that those services are needed to help families in trouble. Children without homes, the old and sick, in fact, to provide whatever your community needs to make it a healthier, better place to live in. Give generously now to your local Community Chest Fund. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Put away that knife.
I'm just opening our bottle, Gloria.
Oh, I told you I don't want to drink here. I want to go to Gregory's. Come on, let's put the show on the road.
Well, here's one for the road. A little glass of wine will do us both good.
No, I don't like the looks of that knife. Nobody needs a knife that big to open a bottle with.
This is a trick knife, see? You press a little button and the knife's gone, just like that. It disappears into the handle.
Well, I don't like it. People get hurt with knives.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong about that. People get... a knife's a very handy instrument.
Oh.
A good knife is hard to find. A good knife is a friend, Gloria. The only friend you can depend on sometimes. They say steel is cold, but it's very warm. It's warm as the human body.
Well, just for your information, I don't like your knife, and while we're at it, I don't think I like you either.
I'm very sorry, Gloria. I'm sorry that my knife frightened you.
I don't know. I think maybe you'd better go. And
Please, Gloria, don't be angry with me. I'm most anxious to take you to Gregory's, where you once went with your mother many, many years ago.
I don't know. I think
we'd have something that you didn't have at that time, champagne.
Huh? Well,
a quiet corner by candlelight. There'll be music.
What does a girl do when she draws a gentleman like you, huh?
Why, she has a little glass of wine to celebrate. Good. Here we go.
You haven't said anything about my dress.
One for you.
Thanks.
One for me.
All right. Here's to a pleasant evening, Vincent.
No, Gloria. Here's to us.
Oh, okay, then. Here's to us.
Ah, that's a little better.
That's nice. Vincent, I'd like to ask you a personal question.
Certainly.
What does somebody like you do for a living?
Oh, I was a part of Rembrandt and Silvers.
Yeah? Sounds like...
And that's slip-attic dancer, yeah. It's almost entirely her act that I'm doing.
Really?
Well, when we were playing Chicago once, when I was a little girl, we went to a little restaurant off the Gold Coast which enjoyed largely theatrical clientele. It's called Gregory's. I thought we'd go there. Are you game, Mr. Hawthorne?
It sounds delightful. You say that your mother is dead?
Yes. Diane died 3 months ago.
I'm terribly, terribly sorry, my dear.
Well, thanks. I'm so sorry. They say the
You were very
food at
close to your
Gregory's-
mother, weren't you? She was an artiste, too. And she taught you how to accomplish all of those remarkable feats that you've been performing on the stage.
Diane taught me everything I know.
It's really remarkable what you do at the end of your act. When you stand on that chair and bend all the way back so slowly and then take the goblet of wine with your teeth and drink it.
Well, thank you. I've worked hard. Of course, either you are double-jointed or you're not.
Of course. What did you die of?
You might say that when vaudeville began to die, Mother began to die, too. It wasn't the money, but with radio, and you see, you have to see a dancer, and radio...
In view of those circumstances, you could almost say that your mother was murdered.
Say, where do you live?
I was born in London.
London. We were thinking about playing Australia once.
London is a great many miles from Australia, Gloria.
Yeah, I'd sure like to get over to London. They say Australia is
London is a very lonely place.
Palladium. I'll bet that's the
It's
biggest.
full of lonely people.
Oh, say, let's not...
The world is full of lonely people, Gloria. In your short lifetime, has that fact come to your attention?
Well, really, that kind of talk can ruin an evening. You're going to talk like that. I don't know about us. Well, here we... Hey, what are you doing?
Relax. Take it easy. We can't all be double-jointed.
All right, what do you want?
He's outside.
Who is outside?
Some John you won't like says he's got a date with you. Oh, baby, you're closing tonight. Tomorrow you'll be in Detroit. Then you'll wish you'd done the loop with me once. Come on, let you and me do our own circuit tonight.
I have a date, thank you.
Oh.
Now, will you go out and tell him to come in, if you please?
You can do better than him.
Yeah?
Yeah. Me. You know, you got real talent, honey. You need somebody to watch out for you. In the profession, I mean. Now, what's a cute little trick like you taking fourth billing to a lot of hoofers?
Look, you stick to your call.
Yeah? Oh, Gloria, baby, this is your last night.
I told you before, I don't like to be touched. By you or anybody else.
I'm beginning to think you mean it.
Get out of here.
Okay. Your stage door Johnny ain't going to be no improvement. Believe me.
The idea, the very idea. Doggone it, where did I put that?
I believe I'm on time. The clock on the Wrigley Tower has just struck 11. I'm Vincent Hawthorne.
Oh, yes,
He walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies.
Huh? Come again?
I'm not what you expected, of course.
Well, won't you come in, Mr.
Hawthorne.
Here, let me take your hat, Mr. Hawthorne. I'll only be a minute. I'm leaving Chicago. I close tonight, you know. Detroit tomorrow. I was delayed at packing and all. I'm not quite dressed. That's props, anyway.
A theatrical trunk. This is a big thrill to me. Gloria Le Fay. Theater. Rush. Gloria Le Fay. Trends in Bend.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, this is my first experience in meeting an artist.
Well, really?
Gloria. It's a lovely name, Gloria. It fits you. You're a very lovely girl. She had a woman's mouth with all its pearls complete. And for her eyes...
Suspense. Autolite and its 96,000 dealers present tonight two stars, Mr. Charles Lawton and Miss June Havoc, in Blind Date, a suspense play produced and edited by William Spears.
Say, Hap, have you heard the one about the car that lost its head in a clutch, got its block knocked off, and hasn't had a brake since?
Slow down, Harlow. That story won't hold water.
Well, maybe not, but here's one that will. The story of the Autolite Stay Full battery. The battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. Autolite Stay Full batteries, with their greater liquid reserve, help to eliminate one of the major causes of battery failure.
Still more, Harlow?
I'll say, Hap. Autolite Stay Full batteries have extra protection with fiberglass retaining mats for longer life. Why, in tests conducted according to SAE life cycle standards, Autolite Stay Full batteries give 70% longer average life than batteries without the Stay Full features. So, folks, get an Autolite Stay Full battery. And remember, you're always right with Autolite. Oh, and a reminder, Suspense on television may be seen in many parts of the country every Tuesday night.
And now, with Blind Date, and with the performances of Charles Lawton and June Havoc, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
The DeMarcos and Mamie had said goodbye. That left me alone backstage. I'm always late anyway. 8 acts on the bill, and I'm always the last to leave the theater. Say, just what do you mean coming into a lady's dressing room without knocking?
Hi, cutie.
I never heard of a call boy who didn't know how to say, are you decent?
What could such eyes do there but weep and weep that they were born so fair?
Huh? Well, it's something of your own.
I only wish it were. That's a narrative poem of Keats about a woman who turned into a serpent.
Well, gee, that's a cheerful little earful, I must say. And what do you got there?
That's a flower, a rose for you. Here.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, I like roses.
I thought it'd look nice in your hair, Gloria.
Oh, yeah, well, thanks. Thanks a lot.
That's real nice.
For your hair, yes.
Thanks.
And this. Now, this is something for both of us.
Is that whiskey?
No, hardly. It's wine. It's Chablis. It's a fine bouquet. Should lend a note of cheer to our little dressing room, And 2 glasses. See, I thought of everything. Fine wine should always be sipped from crystal, don't you think?
I planned on going out. And then...
Oh, yes, certainly, but I thought...
I'll only be a minute. I'll finish dressing behind the screen. Saying, Mr. Hawthorne.
Oh, yes?
What's your first name?
Vincent, my dear.
Oh, say Vincent.
Oh, thank you.
Vincent, just so we get everything clear on both sides, it's a funny situation, you see, because I don't quite know.
Are you concerned because we are having what is called a blind date?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you read my mind. I just wanted it to be understood on both sides that I am not in the habit.
Of course not.
But lately, I've been thinking that after all, how is an artiste like myself, who spent practically all her life training for a profession and then finally goes out on the road since Vaudeville's coming back now, how's she ever going to meet people?
Yes.
You get the point?
Certainly. Of course, I understand that completely. We'll just have our little midnight supper.
I was coming to that. When I was a little girl, say, by the way, did you ever catch an act called Diane?
Diane? I'm not positive.
Well, you'd hardly have forgotten her if you had. Diane was my mother.
Oh, indeed. She was...